liberty and Article 19. Now, I would like to specifically, and the reasonable restrictions on the freedom of speech and expression. A specific case is about the Jammu and Kashmir internet shutdown and what is the Supreme Court verdict. So, Kashmir, the topic is Jammu and Kashmir internet shutdown, and the Supreme Court verdict. So, in fact, the background you know very well. In August 2019, please don't forget, in August 2019, suddenly, overnight, the government, the central government decided to, abrogate Article 370, Article 35A has been removed, and then, we even, the special status of Jammu and Kashmir has been taken away. Jammu and Kashmir is no more a state. It has been declared as a union territory and is divided into two parts. Ladakh is different, Jammu and Kashmir Valley is separated. So, all these things have happened, and all of us, I have repeatedly said that even if we are to do, many people are supported also, even well-educated people in this country have also supported. But the fact of the matter is, whatever we do, what we say, we want to correct the history, so we cannot correct history that easily. And most importantly, in a democratic country like India, we should be always focusing on, what you call a democratic process. There are no shortcuts, there are no quick fixes. These are all, muscular policies, arm twisting. But ultimately, whether this arm twisting will help the country in the long run, it is a big question mark. And you may say, some of you may be the supporter of all these things. You may even say that, isse kya hoga, what will happen, nothing will happen, all this. But please understand, there are no quick fixes, there are no shortcuts. Democracy means we have to follow certain norms. We have to accept and we have to have a dialogue with the people. People's will should be there, discussion should be there, dialogue should be there. Inconvenient truths will have to be discussed. So, whatever it is, so in August we have cancelled this, and to control the people's, anticipating the response from the people, anticipating a protest from the people, a strong clamp down was there, more military was sent, more than 40,000 more soldiers were sent to Jammu and Kashmir. Already almost 3 lakh soldiers are already there in Jammu and Kashmir. So, all these things. So, heavy armed police presence and army presence were ensured, and internet, complete blanket ban on internet in Jammu and Kashmir. People were not having any mechanism to even communicate with each other. So, this continued for many months. And ultimately, people under, this fundamental rights, people went to the court, Supreme Court, under Article 32, their fundamental right to have right to information, right to have access to information, right to access to internet. People went to the court. And under this, in January 2020, Supreme Court came up with the verdict regarding the rights under Article 19 and the access to internet. So, Supreme Court ruled that freedom of speech and expression under Article 19 includes, it also includes, and the right to carry on any trade or business using internet is constitutionally protected. So, Supreme Court said that the freedom of speech and expression and the right to carry on trade or business using internet is constitutionally protected. That is what Supreme Court said. Supreme Court also directed the Jammu and Kashmir authorities to immediately restore internet services in all institutions providing essential service, especially hospitals and banks. So, Supreme Court also insisted that internet service to be provided to all institutions which are especially working in providing essential services. So, Supreme Court insisted that it should be restored. Then the freedom of speech and expression and freedom to practice any profession, both. So, freedom of speech and expression, Article 19(1)(a) and Article 19(1)(g), to practice any profession, trade or business, and over the medium of internet enjoys constitutional protection. So, the internet, the right to have internet access enjoys constitutional protection. It is a fundamental right under Article 19(1)(a) and Article 19(1)(g) respectively. That is what. So, under Article 19(1)(a) and Article 19(1)(g), the right to have access to internet, is a fundamental right. That is what the Supreme Court has given the verdict in January 2020. The restrictions upon such fundamental rights should be in consonance with the mandate of Article 19(2) and 19(6) of the Constitution, meaning that there can be reasonable restrictions on these rights, but that restriction should pass the test of proportionality. Please understand this, very interesting statement there. It should pass the test of proportionality. See, now if a punishment is given to somebody, if a restriction is imposed on some action, that restriction should pass the test of proportionality. The restriction should be proportional. But in this particular case, where blanket ban on internet is disproportionate, that is what Supreme Court has said. Supreme Court said that this is disproportionate to the requirement. The restriction should pass the test of proportionality. And Supreme Court also said that repetitive orders under Section 144, that means continuous, curfew like situation, Section 144, that means you cannot assemble, more than 2 or 3 people can assemble at a particular time. So, this indiscriminate use of Section 144 of the Criminal Procedure Code is also abuse of power. Indiscriminate use of Section 144 of CRPC is an abuse of power. Supreme Court also said in this particular verdict. So, Supreme Court is very clear, and also Supreme Court, so it should pass the test of proportionality, and Section 144, if you are repeatedly used, indiscriminately if it is used, it is an abuse of power. That is what Supreme Court has said. And Supreme Court also said that the competent authorities to publish all orders in force. I mean, people should know which order is being published and all. There should be more clarity regarding all these things, and it can be challenged. And the Supreme Court said that if it is not been properly published and all, it can be challenged in the High Court or in the appropriate forum. Supreme Court has also said that. But at the same time, Supreme Court said that so the central government and the state government has a right under Article 19(2) where reasonable restrictions can be there. Supreme Court said that the government is entitled to restrict the freedom of speech and expression. No doubt regarding this, Article 19(2) is valid, but it should not be disproportionate. It should pass the test of proportionality. And the issue is, the question is one of extent rather than the existence of power to restrict. Up to what extent? So, please, Supreme Court said that the issue is up to what extent this restriction should be there. And the issue is not about whether there can be restrictions or not. Yes, there can be restriction, but up to what extent there can be restriction is the challenge, or that is the issue. And the Supreme Court said that this blanket ban for many months, almost, now it's almost 1 year or maybe, many months. And even today, even after the verdict, what the government did, they have restored only 2G connection. 2G is useless, and it is as good as no connection. But just to cover up this Supreme Court verdict, just to tell the Supreme Court that okay, we have restored it, 2G connection is given. Today, you and me know very well, and if you are to attend my class, I mean through this internet, and if it is a 2G connection, you cannot get it. You cannot get, minimum requirement is 3G and 4G. 3G is the minimum, and we talk about we have 4G connection, and Jammu and Kashmir people even today, even after many months after the verdict, the government has restored only 2G connection. It is a fraud on the Supreme Court verdict itself, we can say, but anyway, that is how the system is, we can't help, and this is what is going on in this country right now. So, the question is on the extent of restriction, not whether there can be restriction or not. That's what Supreme Court said. And Supreme Court also said that it reminded the government that any any order suspending the internet service indefinitely is impermissible. You cannot suspend internet indefinitely. Indefinitely, if you are suspending internet indefinitely, it is impermissible. It is impermissible under even the Temporary Suspension of Telecom Services Act or rules. There is a provision of 2017, we passed a rule called Temporary Suspension of Internet Services Rules 2017. Temporary Suspension of Internet Services, or it's a suspension telecom services rules, internet nahi telecom services, please correct it, temporary suspension of telecom services rules 2017. Under that also you cannot indefinitely suspend the internet service. That's what Supreme Court said. Suspension can be utilized, or suspension should be there only for a temporary duration. That is what Supreme Court said, that you can suspend, but it is for a temporary duration. And Supreme Court also said that any order suspending the internet issued under the suspension rule must adhere to the principle of proportionality and must not extend beyond the necessary duration. So, and this suspension rule is subject to judicial review. This suspension rule is subject to judicial review. Suspension rule is subject to judicial review. And then the Supreme Court also said that Section 69A of the Information Technology Act, 69A of IT Act 2000, which read with information technology, the rules of 2009 allowing the blocking of access of information, which was upheld. In fact, there is a 2009 rule, IT Act 2009. Then there is a information technology, blocking of access of information. IT blocking of access of information 2009 rules. There are two rules now, IT Act 2069A and even the Information Technology Procedure for Blocking of Access of Information, Rule 2009. It allows blocking of information, but which was even upheld by the Supreme Court later on. But this also says that you can block the access to a particular website. Okay, even the IT Act of 2009, blocking of access of information, you can block a particular website or particular information on internet, but not a blanket ban. Blanket ban on internet, or it's not switching off the internet. You can specifically block certain sites. That is what Supreme Court said. Supreme Court said even the IT Act 2000, Section 69A, and even the IT Act where blocking of access of information 2009 rules, you can specifically block access to particular websites on internet, not the entire internet itself. That is what Supreme Court said, and Supreme Court is very clear. Freedom of speech and expression under Article 19(1)(a) and the right to have any profession, freedom of trade, profession, etc. under Article 19(1)(g) through internet is a fundamental right. That is what Supreme Court very clearly said. So, Supreme Court restored the right to have access to information. That is the bottom line. But coming to an analysis of this verdict, this is what Supreme Court said, no problem. But what I would like to say in this verdict, the court laid down the law. Supreme Court said that access to internet is a fundamental right under Article 19(1)(a) and 19(1)(g), no problem. But the Supreme Court, the first point I would like to say is that Supreme Court did not give any relief to the people of Jammu and Kashmir. That is the irony of our Supreme Court today. Supreme Court said that you have a right. But how will you implement the right? How will you, if I have a right, Supreme Court should tell by these action, you will get it. Supreme Court did not order anything, did not ask the government to do anything. They said you have a fundamental right, and Supreme Court kept quiet. And they did not, Supreme Court relied on, the irony of the situation is, it relied on the good office of the government. The Supreme Court said that now the government should do it. They have a right, but Supreme Court did not give any specific order. No specific directives or direction is given to the government. The Supreme Court should have been saying that you restore internet within 24 hours, 48 hours, you do this, you do that, it should be 3G, all these things should have been there. Supreme Court did not do that. And what is the reality is, this kind of an unprecedented shutdown for more than years now, more than a year now, or this is highly unacceptable. It is against the spirit of entire democracy. You cannot say that all the people of Jammu and Kashmir are separatists. How can you say this? How can you brand every citizen, even an old man of 80-year-old, 90-year-old, or a baby, or a 5-year-old child, or a 6-year-old child also, all of them are anti-nationals. And how can you ban it? See, if some people are violating the law, some people are separatists also, some people are anti-nationals also, it's the duty of the state to identify and punish those individuals. You cannot punish the entire society. This is against the spirit of the basics of democracy. This is an unprecedented shutdown. It exceeds every measure of reasonableness. It is beyond any reasonableness. There is no doubt. So, so first is Supreme Court did not give any relief, they did not give any special direction to the government. And second point I would like to add is, this is beyond all reasonableness, absolutely no doubt. And the judgment said that you have a right, but they did not give relief. And the judgment banged heavily on the state government to review and implement this. Government, Supreme Court did not give any direction. It heavily banged on the good offices of the state government and the central government, which I seriously doubt. The government which took away the rights, do you think that the government will automatically give it? That they will be still insisting that that is why, just to show to the court that they have done something, 2G was restored. It is nonsense. It should have been minimum is 3G. But so, the first thing is, Supreme Court did not give relief to the people. Supreme Court said you have a right, but how to implement the right, Supreme Court should have been giving concrete verdicts. Unfortunately, it has not been done. Another point I would like to remind you, even according to the government, please remember, the number of terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir is around 400. Active terrorists are around 400, and we have more than 3 lakh plus soldiers, operational in Jammu and Kashmir. Whatever be the number, in lakhs. Now, if I say 3 lakh, and you shouldn't get upset about the whole thing, I have not counted. This is what I have read in many newspaper articles and all. At least 3 lakh soldiers, paramilitary staff, Jammu and Kashmir police, everything put together, we are there. 400 terrorists are there. So, already we have a disproportionately very high presence of the army and the policemen and the paramilitary force there. And now we are trying to brand entire Jammu and Kashmir people as anti-nationals or not favorable to the government of India. That is not correct. And we are branding the entire community, and we are trying to, our mistrust is to the whole population, the entire citizens. This is, I personally feel it is too much. We cannot brand. See, even if there are Naxal sympathizers, even if there are separatist sympathizers among the population, our duty is to bring them back to the mainstream by supporting them, by educating them, by doing, it's not by punishing them. It is by, arbitrarily punishing them. We should be doing something by supporting them, educating them, helping them, not by suspecting all of them. A mistrust, the whole, the fourth point I would like to add here is, the whole premises in which we are operating in Jammu and Kashmir is mistrust. We have to trust the people, we have to build trust among the people. And Supreme Court, my final, worry or a final statement is, Supreme Court could have done much more. They could have done more. You cannot punish the whole society like this. In a modern era, if you cannot have access to internet, and what kind of development you can expect for the people, and it is a collective punishment which is unacceptable in democracy. And at least Supreme Court should have appointed a commission, a committee to assess the situation. The committee could have given a report, and Supreme Court has done many times before. Supreme Court directly monitored many situations earlier, but Supreme Court has given up all those powers and all those responsibilities, and Supreme Court did not live up to the expectation of the people. We expected Supreme Court to say that this is unacceptable. We cannot violate the fundamental rights of the people like this. Supreme Court is the custodian of the fundamental rights. Supreme Court is the final resort. They should ensure that fundamental rights of citizens are protected. But Supreme Court said that you have a fundamental right, but Supreme Court did not do enough to ensure that these fundamental rights are restored. That is the bottom line of this, this internet verdict on Jammu and Kashmir. It is sad that Supreme Court did not say more. They should have said more. They could have appointed a committee. They should have instructed. They should have monitored whether these rights are restored or not. But Supreme Court did not do any of those things. This is quite sad, and we expect more from we have our last resort is Supreme Court. We have more expectation from Supreme Court. Our rights, only who can protect our rights? Only Supreme Court can protect our rights if the government is hell-bent to violate our rights. But unfortunately, Supreme Court is not doing that. This is during the emergency time, in Indira Gandhi's time, Supreme Court bent at that time. The same thing is happening right now. Now, anybody questioning the Supreme Court, immediately contempt of court, that is what Supreme Court is talking about these days. It is quite unfortunate. And so the verdict, it's a good verdict. In the sense, Supreme Court said that yes, right to have internet under Article 19, 1A and 1G is a fundamental right, but they did not enforce that right. That is where the problem lies. So that's all about this particular topic.